last week, the big release in the gaming world was Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days. Just like the first game, I felt the story in this was freaking fantastic.
Yep, though slightly rushed.
Slightly rushed. But you got it focuses on Lynch this time, where the first one was Kane's story.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Shanghai. Kane comes to visit him to do an arms deal, and in the first mission of the game, you end up killing someone you probably shouldn't have. Well, you definitely shouldn't have, and then you got a target on your head, and you got to get the fuck out of Shanghai.
Yeah, and it's just a race to get the fuck out of town.
And it's just balls to the wall, gun blazing, tons of enemies, which services the gameplay a lot because they fixed all the fucking problems the first game had with controls, and its cover system is much improved. You don't just fall into cover. You actually can push a button to get into cover when you want to.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so much better done than the first game was.
You mean you have to use your hands? That's like a baby's toy.
Yeah, the story is fantastic, but what I thought, and the gameplay, they fixed so much, but I thought what was truly unique about this game was the style of it. It felt like it was a handheld camera shooting in, like, bad standard film, and it was digitized. It had blurred out areas. I mean, it was shot in such a fashion. It looked so awesome.
Yeah, you get blown out lights. You get lots of lens flares when the camera catches the light. When you're in shadow, it gets really grainy because cameras in black show up grainy with digital cameras. It has this whole digital web video feel. When you get shot, the screen pixelates. When it's loading screens, it's actually a buffering screen, not a loading screen. I mean, the whole just visual aesthetic to the game, amazing.
Yes.
Never seen a game like it. Probably will never see another game like it, because if anybody tries to copy it, they'll be just like, well, you're copying Kane and Lynch. So,
yeah, it's so unique. The style is so unique. I mean, it's worth playing just to see this style.
And lots of destructibility, lots of things destroy. You can shoot tiles off walls. Cover can get destroyed.
Individual. It's like you can. There's one scene where you actually go into like a DVD store, and if you focus on the DVDs, they're like past games that Eidos made, and you can actually shoot each individual DVD off the case.
And there's like hundreds in the store.
Yeah.
You know, there's a standout scene when you're in a helicopter circling the skyscraper, and you can see multiple floors with destructibility. It's stunning.
I mean, it's just absolutely insane. It's beautifully done. It's everything about this game. The story's beautiful. The story's fantastic. The gameplay is nice and smooth. The style is fantastic.
Now, for negatives, it's a co-op game. It's meant to be played with two players. We like to play couch co-op because we live in the same house. It makes sense. It's a co-op game.
Yeah.
The co-op in this, fucking awful.
Well, I don't think it's awful. I think the problem is the way it's set up. Is because it's on top of each other, set side by side.
Yeah, which makes the screen smaller. You can't really see what the fuck you're shooting at.
Yeah. So, and then it's like in some areas, the water will drop into the screen, and you can't see shit because there's this big old water dot right in the middle of your fucking screen that blurs everything out.
Yeah, in single player, when you're playing by yourself, it's not so bad. But when you're playing with somebody else, your screen is so small. Terrible. You can play over Xbox Live or PSN, so if you play it that way, you won't have a problem. But I mean, the first game was only split screen, so it makes sense that why didn't they make this one like the first one, where it was split left and right instead of up and down?
Yeah, which is
and the other big negative was the length.
We beat the game in less than 3 hours.
Yeah, co-op less than 3 hours. I ran through it single player in 4 hours. And then I did a playthrough on Insane and could not finish it, and that was like 12 hours because they're like, the people seriously snipe you from football field length while blind firing, and one shot will kill you. Insane mode, like, if you can actually beat this game on Insane, bravo to you. You just wasted fucking 20 hours of your life.
Forgive all these terrors. I wish I could quit you.
That's the main problem, was the whole length. I mean, the Director's Edition of Lord of the Rings is longer.
Every single version of Lord of the Rings Standard Edition is probably longer.
Which is sad. I mean, because I didn't want the game to end. And another big downside to this was it had an incredibly weak ending.
Oh, so weak. It could have had some sort of resolution once you actually get to the escape point, because it doesn't make sense what happens.
Yeah.
We're not going to spoil what happens, but it doesn't make sense.
I mean, it's they should have had something. I don't know if they're going to put like this is a DLC package of what happens, at the end. But it's a little too late. I mean,
if they would have released this game for like $30, and then they said, well, we're gonna put out DLC for extending the story, it would have been well worth it for 3 hours. But like this week or last week, Tomb Raider came out on Xbox Live Arcade. That's like a 15-hour game. It costs $15.
Yeah,
it's a 10 to 15-hour game for $15, and it's co-op.
Yeah, be it the style and the detail, it definitely helps the game, but the shortness completely destroys it.
And it's one of those games that has multiplayer where it doesn't need it. I mean, the multiplayer is okay. It's fun. It's unique. You can backstab your partners and steal their cash.
Which is really neat and a cool idea, but it really doesn't need it. It's like, I wish they would have thrown out multiplayer and just worked on the story and enhanced it to, 6 hours.
They could have just add some more levels in there, extend out the single player. I mean, this is a story-based game. It should have a lot of single player, and it doesn't. And for that reason, I got to give it a 6 out of 10. It's an incredible game. It's just super fucking short. It's definitely worth playing. Rent it. You can beat it in a single day rental and get all there is to get. But it's so fun to play through. But again, the length is so short. I have to go 6 out of 10.
I'm going to have to go pretty much lower than that. I'm going to have to go 4 out of 10 because of the length. It's like there's no reason for it to be less than 3 hours. No reason. I mean, there's downloadable games that are...
If you think about it, a 5 would be average.
Yeah, and I would consider it less than average because of the length. The length is what kills this game. I mean, if it was an hour, 2 hours longer, then it'd definitely be like a 6, maybe even a 7. But because it's less than 3 hours long, there's no excuse for that. None. You'd be like, well, there's multiplayer. In a month, no one will be playing it. There's 2 major multiplayer games coming out.
3.
Yeah, 3.
Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, and Halo.
Yeah, and there's no reason for it. And be like, well, there's a whole bunch of downloadable content. Nobody will buy it because these games are coming out. It was like you should have concentrated on making the game longer. It's like, yes, it looks fantastic. Yes, it plays fantastic. But it's less than 3 fucking hours. And I have no desire to play Insane because I've seen him do it and it doesn't even look fun.
No.
It just looks annoying.
Yeah.
So I'm giving this less than average. 4 out of 10.
What we've got here is failure.
Well, that's going to do it for the Monday Media Review here on Two Guys on the Couch. I am Joe.
And I am George.
We'll see you next time here on the couch.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Guys! Fucking assholes.
Lynch, gotta go.
Don't fuck with me!